I never planned on waking up half naked in my driveway, surrounded by cops, neighbors clutching their ears, and a screaming HOA president. But hey, life has a funny way of escalating when you're just trying to keep a deaf teenager safe. That morning, 32 sharp, my old Firehouse Siren let out one glorious skull-rattling 130-decibel blast. 8 seconds of pure chaos. Cynthia Masters. The queen of the HOA looked like she might combust on the spot. "This is harassment. This is terrorism," she shrieked, pointing at my garage like I'd installed a missile launcher instead of a historical display. Right then, my niece Maddie tugged on my sleeve. She signed, "Worth it." I nodded. Totally worth it. But to really understand how we got here, you gotta back up a few months. It all started when Maddie was coming to stay with me. Her parents were being deployed overseas, and since I'd inherited my folks' old place in suburban Oak Hill, I figured we'd be fine. I'd install some strobe lights linked to the fire alarms, get the place safe for her, no problem. Except problem. Big one. I showed up to my first HOA meeting thinking I just needed a quick approval to install safety lights. Cynthia looked at me like I'd asked to build a rocket pad in my yard. "All exterior modifications require board approval," she said, practically purring. "It's in the agreement you signed." I explained Maddie's deaf, that these lights are critical. They're tied to the smoke detectors. I even said she'd be here in 2 weeks. Cynthia didn't blink. "Well, applications are reviewed monthly. You'll need to wait till next meeting," which was a full month away. I was stunned. "This is a safety issue." She just smiled. "Perhaps you should have planned ahead." That night I told my brother on the phone. He couldn't believe it either. "They're safety lights." He said, "not fireworks." But that's when I started realizing how warped HOA land really was. Rules meant more than people. I ordered the interior stuff, bed shakers, flashing strobes, but Maddie would need an outdoor signal too, especially for the backyard or garage. I started the application process anyway, doing everything by the book. Mock-ups, spec sheets, diagrams. First application got rejected, missing technical detail. Second got denied, didn't match the aesthetic. I was about to lose it. That's when I ran into Officer Grant at the diner. He took one look at me, 3 coffees deep, staring at my rejection letter and said, "You look like a man planning arson." I laughed. More like considering how loud a smoke detector needs to be to get HOA approval. He nodded slowly. "Let me guess, Cynthia Masters." He'd dealt with her before. Apparently she once called 911 on her DoorDash guy. You know, he said there was a case in Ridgeview. Guy got cited for wind chimes, but beat it by claiming they were part of a historical display installed before new bylaws. That little light bulb in my brain lit up like Times Square. 2 days later, Maddie arrived. 15 sharp, sarcastic, and all haze. She stepped off the plane, dropped her bag, and signed. "Did you get the alarms?" I smiled. "Inside's done. Still working on outside." Her face fell a little. She nodded anyway. Then came the wake-up call. Literally. One night she shook me awake at 2 a.m. The smoke detector was chirping a dead battery. She couldn't hear it, obviously, but she sensed something was off. That hit me hard. This wasn't just about beating the HOA anymore. This was about keeping Maddie safe and giving her dignity. I called Bill Moore, a board member. Nice guy, always kept his head down. I asked him to raise my case again. He hesitated. "Cynthia keeps files," he said. "You rent the place for 2 years before moving in." "Right." You really think none of your tenants broke any rules? My stomach dropped. She's holding blackmail on people. I'm saying she doesn't lose. But I wasn't backing down. That's when I reached out to Tony, a contractor who'd done my kitchen. I showed him the centerpiece of my dad's old Firehouse collection, a 1950s Federal Signal siren about 90 pounds of pure, glorious steel. I want this mounted on the garage, I told him. And I want it to look like it's been there for decades. Tony raised an eyebrow. Functional. I shrugged. Purely decorative, unless it's not. He grinned. Got it. Hypothetically, I could make the wiring invisible, hide the control panel rusted up to look vintage. Hypothetically. The job took a week. When Cynthia showed up clipboard in hand, she immediately honed in on the siren. This isn't in your application. I didn't apply for this, I said smoothly. It's a historical display honoring my father's fire service. This is clearly new. Actually, it was under siding since before I moved back. Founded during renovations and decided to restore it. Total lie, but the edited family photos and neighbor affidavits said otherwise. Cynthia narrowed her eyes. We'll be discussing this. Looking forward to it, I said. Then came the toaster incident. Maddie wanted to make breakfast and the toaster oven shorted out, and by the time I got downstairs, the kitchen was smoky, and she was panicking. She hadn't smelled the smoke, hadn't known. She signed quietly, didn't notice, couldn't hear. I shook my head. Not your fault. We need a better system. That day, I filed one last appeal with photos, a plea, and every form filled out to the last dotted I. Then I handed Tony a bag of components and said, it's time. He wired the siren into the home alarm system, plus a manual trigger controlled from my phone. Maddie knew the plan and was giddy. She even had special earplugs to feel the vibrations without hurting herself. The next HOA meeting rolled around. I texted Bill. Is everyone there? He replied. Full house. Cynthia's in rare form. I turned to Maddie. Ready, she grinned and signed back. Hit it. I pressed the button. That siren went off like Judgment Day. Lights flashing, dogs howling, people pouring out into the street, like it was a disaster drill. Cynthia's face turned purple. You're done, Hayes. Officer Grant showed up fast. You know this violates the noise ordinance. I held up my folder. Historical display predates bylaws 3 affidavits. Cynthia shouted. He falsified those. Right then, my lawyer Natalie showed up cool as ice. Fraud's a strong word, Ms. Masters. So is ADA violation. Neighbors started stepping forward. They denied our ramp, one said. Refused my grab bar. Another added. The mood shifted. Natalie leaned in. Sounds like a class action waiting to happen. Cynthia looked around, cornered. This isn't over, but it was. The next week she vanished. Family emergency, the board claimed. Bill took over temporarily. My application got approved unanimously. Maddie's full system went up. Lights, strobes, everything connected. The siren stayed officially registered as a historical artifact, complete with plaque. 3 months later, Cynthia sold her house and moved to a downtown condo. Rumor has it, she still flinches at the sound of sirens. Maddie, she's thriving. Joined the swim team, planted a vegetable garden, made friends. She even painted the siren bright colors her own design. It's not just an alarm anymore, it's a symbol. A year later, I was elected to the HOA board. My first act, a community emergency prep plan with ASL training and accessibility upgrades on every block. Now every good neighbor day, we test the siren officially. Kids love it. Officer Grant brings the K9. Tony grills carne asada. Maddie runs the demo. And people actually smile when the alarm goes off. Funny how a little noise used right can wake people up to what really matters. And now, I gotta ask, what would you have done in my shoes? Should I have played it safe, or did I do the right thing? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because rules are one thing, but real justice, that's a whole different story.